1,000 year-ish from the New Dawn event. We have world that's similar or couple hundred years-ish. We have world of New Dawn. In that, new empires are born, new countries are born, religions are split. There would be equivalent of, there's one bad guy country called Atterheim, which is your equivalent of Ottoman Empire. For those who don't know about European history, especially Central Europe history, do you know that really stupid trope and stupid cliche from story when there's one powerful empire who wants to take over the world? That almost happened in Europe and didn't happen in once. You probably heard about Spartans defending whoever the fuck they were. You saw 300, the movie, real version of that. But later, in early modern era and Renaissance, Ottoman Turkish, actually, they call themselves different better. Turkish was like toughest country in the world, and they would just, hey, Sultan, how Turkish called their emperor, Sultan, what do you feel like doing today? I don't know. Let's take over Europe. And Europeans were fighting among each other, so they would just go and it would be fucked. Like, if you think Game of Thrones is fucked up, read like Wikipedia article on Renaissance Europe or 30 years war. That shit was fucked. Shit got crazy anyway. New countries were grown and born. This one, even in first draft, I'm talking about countries, how two particular countries, Bessonnier, which is so not French, like, so not. I take, like, you can tell that some countries, some people have suspiciously French name, but honestly, I like history, but don't like do research or anything. I just like, hey, I like that idea from history. Like, you know what? I like this Spanish pirate, and I like Napoleon, and I like this Swedish painter. I'm gonna make them one character. Eventually, you're gonna take so many ideas from other places, something original will come out. Which brings us to Esperko, the idea I had, which is, I almost forget it about myself, but because again I don't do research, I just like one cool thing that happened. It was originally, like I said, this originally was supposed to be just a short story. Idea for that, I was watching, I believe I didn't see it in English, but it was called Master Spies, a really good documentary about real life spies, basically in history, in past, like how espionage was starting. And there was episode about Walsingham from England, who pretty much invented British Secret Service. And there was episode about Cardinal Richelieu, who you might know as bad guys from Three Musketeers. Actually, every character in Three Musketeers, at least every main character, was based off a real human being, or they're like those four guys. Actually, four musketeers, their names were changed, but King and Queen, obviously, Richelieu, Captain of Musketeers, those were all real people. And Richelieu was bad guy in that book, but he was extremely controversial character. I trying to think, probably modern equivalent was J. Edgar Hoover, where that guy turned America into police state, but after he died, people find out that yeah, he turned American police state, but he also 99% when he point finger at someone and said this guy is commie, he actually was commie. So think of Richelieu like J. Edgar Hoover of Muscadera. And there was story city of Rocher, don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. That's why I remember Rocher, like very similar to his name, ironically. There's even big historical picture, beautiful picture when he's standing in the harbor after they conquered the city. And I don't know if English title is the one that I watch it as Master Spies. So I think it was like that in English. If you can find the documentary, watch it. It's really fucking fun. And what I like about this documentary, and which I always complain about documentaries, and I told it to my teachers to their face, doesn't matter what you're trying to say if you bore me so much that I don't listen. So doesn't matter as much what documentary is about, as long as it's well told. Like literally, I saw documentaries on TV about like barbarian army massacring, churning up, like genociding each other, and I was bored to tears because it was just guy on the field like, oh yeah, there was big battle here. I also saw documentary about carpet seller from Venice, and was so well told. I was like, oh, he opened his own business in Venice in 1400s? Tell me more. Anyway, in this Master Spice, really great documentary, they talk about Siege of Rothschild, and there were, and they're like, oh, this was this religious sect who wasn't Catholic, but they all come to the city, and there was military conflict. I'm like, dude, I'm sure this is important, but just because I love history doesn't mean I have great attention span. Then they cut from historical pictures into like some guy who was like, I believe he was American or British, like counter-terrorist specialist. I'm like, we were just talking about something that happens in like Renaissance era. Why the fuck we have present day security specialists? And he said, imagine this as what if all the terrorists in the world decide to take over New York City, and instead of panicking, head of American general is like, okay, we have them all in one place, let's fuck them up. And I was like, huh. And that's what Richelieu did. There was, I want to say, Huguenot, that wasn't Huguenot, some Protestant sect, that don't remember the name. They all immigrated in this one city. Basically, they take it over, they wanted independence, and then Richelieu, and everyone started freaking out. Oh my god, whole city is gonna just leave, and they're heretics, and Richelieu is like, why are you guys panicking? We got them all in one place. All it takes is cut them and start shooting. So then her idea is like, basically, so enemy of states pretty much taking over entire city, which I later, actually right now realize is basically this Richelieu real life story is basically a plot of Dark Knight Rises, which I liked. So I had the idea, what if there's like not saving the world or something, but what if there's like one city trying to go independent, there's some extremism in there, like, let's start playing with my head. That was idea for original, short story came here. A city that this story takes place is called Espercote, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Like, I googled it, which should be Coast of Hope, and I make it more like almost like Monaco or possibly Northern Ireland. Like, it's kind of a part of this other country. Empire is called Bessonville, which started as analogy for France, but then I started adding different things. Like I said, I start with, okay, these guys are Catholics, this is UK, this is Germany, and then I start adding goofy shit to make it a bit different. So empire name is Bessonville. There's one city, almost city-state inside, almost like Monaco to France, called Espercote, and Espercote, like in story told, is gem of the empire. It's economically and strategically one of the most important. What the fuck? One of the most important cities in whole empire. It's critical that we keep them. And then religious extremists basically take it over. And there's this, first, we cannot just go there, and even we go there and start shooting. Some people are voluntary with rebels, some people were just forced to work with rebels, so it's like this extremely fucked up, chaotic. I don't think anything. What I'm telling you right now is already better written than first draft, but like I said, it's brainstorming. It's like this fucked up, worst possible scenario situation when most important city in the world, in our empire, is suddenly taken over in this, it's flintlock fantasy, bit of steampunk and magic tech. Like, then they have like airships and powerful magic. We could just nuke this city to the beats, but then we would destroy our most important city. We would go take it over militaristically and just execute all the people, but then we would just murder people and turn in our most important city in a ghost town. Also, if we don't punish those people, there will be more rebellions. If we punish them, people will be scared of us and no one will be bowed their head. So, like, this is extremely fucked up. Could not be worse situation. Also, probably good. I heard it's good thing to make villains sympathetic, which we get to that. I accidentally made main character in this first draft. Main character is least sympathetic motherfucker I ever wrote, or a second least sympathetic. Villain is probably most sympathetic character I ever wrote, so we get to that when we get to that. But now, world as per Kota setup, okay. Bessonway is supposed to be good guys, and it's like, it's kind of like gray versus gray morality, but there was Czech writer who like wrote article and he gave you really good advice. What was his name? Have it there, Kotleta. Czech writer Kotleta, he's like super balls to the walls, action horrors, he writes shit like that, but he had interesting point that it's good to make gray versus gray morality, even black versus black morality. It's good that it's cool when villains are sympathetic. It's cool when heroes are controversial, but, and it's what Kotleta wrote, and it's stuck in my head. Like, he could tattoo it in my brain, and I wouldn't remember it harder. I remember this. He said that heroes supposed to be at least 1% more sympathetic than villain, because otherwise audience just have no idea who to root for. And way I get around is that basically easiest way to do how to solve this is means, ends justifies means. That's just the most evil sentence anyone can ever say. So empire is empire, and you notice in fantasy that usually allies are good guys and empires are always bad guys. So this based on the I also play with words like that. There's gonna be kidnapped princess later, but she's kidnapped not because villain wants to marry her, but because there was some really sudden political movement in her country, where there's ragtag bunch of heroes, but those bunch of heroes are straight up working like a military company. Like, I don't like to do original things. I want to do something I already love, something that's even cliched, and play with it just a little bit. So, and oftentimes what I do, like, who would be a villain in every other story, and I'm gonna make him hero, another way around. And this is pretty much like flag horse for that, where empire, based on the empire, because empire is in title, you automatically assume they are evil. They're a country, they're a powerful country. When you fuck with them, they'll fucking invade you. But those guys in those rebels in Esperkota, they say they are rebels, they say they want autonomy, they want independence, and at that point it's fine, but then they start killing people. Then when they realize they don't have enough people supporting them, they say, local people, either you join us or we fucking kill your kids. They go to extreme, they're putting people on stake, they're confiscating private property. So they might be freedom fighters, but they are not necessarily good guys, if you know what I mean. You know what, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm pushing about 50 minutes and my legs are hurting. I'm gonna record for an hour. I always love this. I told my best female friend one time that I was doing Let's Plays before, and I had to talk over some footage, and I told her that I was really afraid that I won't be able to do at least 5 minutes, and then I talked for an hour and I didn't know how. I made 5 points. World, Espercote setup, Cyril and Jim, and support characters just for this one video. We are on we just entered point 3 of setup, so like I said, Espercote is powerful city within Besonvie. They want independence, but they go it way too far, and they just set up for character story I want to be inside. Where it will be Cyril and Jim. Cyril supposed to be main character, Jim supposed to be villain. Cyril is on side of Besonvie, Jim is on side of rebels. And as you might guessed it, they used to be friends and now they're on the other side. Cliché as it gets. But like I said, I like tropes. I like when shit is a bit cliched. Cliched? Other thing, I want to keep. I think I'm gonna just straight up make new video. Even this one I'm gonna split. I want to keep Cyril and Jim and characters there. What can I say more about Espercote? Which is some of this I had in my idea, some of this I make up on the spot, which is good. You guys are already helping to me. You guys already helping to me. My English good. Strong English I get wrestling bears. Fucking neighbors. So I imagine in my mind, sometimes I don't have graphic imagination, but sometimes I close my eyes and I'm like, if I was walking in Espercote, what would I see? And I imagine almost like there's a big wall, almost like Attack on Titan, like it's walled from all sides except this one, Espercote. On eastern side, in story, invade, Empire attacks from east. For I imagine they're on west coast, on west side, east, west, west side there would be sea. There's blockade from there, of course. So there, Espercote is like coastal town. They have strong culture. There are a lot of refugees and a lot of immigrants, which again, refugee crisis in Europe started as I was writing it. As always, couldn't care less. I care about people suffering. You know, it's kind of like I always tell people whenever people argue, like, what do you have? You gotta have opinion, and like, there are immigrants in Europe. I want to be one day immigrant in North America. I don't really have a right to bitch about either side, dude. Anyway, I don't matter right now. Story matters. I imagine Espercote as large city. Again, don't have graphic imagination, so I don't want to say like if it's big like New York, but if it's big like this or that. I said that, but there are millions of people in Espercote, which it will be big city today, but not in past, which is other thing. I think of New Dawn almost like reverse Revengeance or reverse Star Wars. What the fuck I mean with that? There are Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, or Star Wars. There are a lot of stories that have present day or sci-fi aesthetics, but they use some things from past, like swords, or things like order of warriors in space who call themselves knights. In Revengeance, you have cyborg ninjas. Yes, their body is 90% robot, and they have swords they can cut through tank, but they still use swords. Blade takes, at least Blade movies take place in present day, but he's using sword because it's just better on vampires. I wanted to do that in opposite way. New Dawn is, like I said, end of medieval times, all the way to like Napoleon era. Think of like 14th to 16th, no, that's not, 14th to 18th century-ish. They have, I said they have airships, then in fact they have mechs, which I actually opened this story with mechs, giant mechs approaching city, and I had the idea, well, if somebody writes me in comments or I'm gonna make new Twitter, but if it helps you, my private Twitter is Crownless King SK, I believe. I don't even know. I had this idea recently, when if someone writes me what kind of stupid shit, even as a modern fantasy, you open with mechs, that's stupid, that takes me out of her, I would be like, fair enough. But if someone writes me, dude, you added mechs and robots into fantasy, what a great idea, is there more of them? Not in first draft, and they're not even mentioned. So that's, but I like the idea. Like Legend of Korra had mechs, they didn't have guns, but they had mechs, so I want to give them here. But more like thinking, that's why they mostly have swords, they have rapiers, they have halberds and glaives and longswords and zweihanders and muskets and blunderbusses. But when I think like military and like characters talk to each other, they using terms like modern military would. Like, well, what is main character like? You're like, hey, main character uses rapier. Is he more like Zoro or more like Jack Sparrow? And I would answer, he's one part SEAL Team 6, he's one part Spetsnaz, and he's one part SOE. The characters in this story, they use swords, they use daggers, then muskets and flintlocks pistols, but when you ask them, I'm not heroic knight, I'm veteran of special forces. We're not going to castle to save princess. We are going to castle to extract VIP we're supposed to protect, like that type of terminology. And I personally find it really cool and a bit refreshing. I get to that, but Jim and Cyril met and both were in Special Forces of Bessonway, which I grew up on Three Musketeers. In fact, there are three, and there's third guy Huey. I wrote like 80 pages of those three literary musketeers doing things, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, that's gonna sound so lame. I didn't want them to be Three Musketeers. Three Musketeers were actually four guys, but doesn't matter right now. So that's why I called myself, and even before that, I like Order of Royal Musketeers. That's like the dumbest, lamest fucking title. Eventually, I decided to rename them into Lucerns, which Lucerns is... I'm gonna just say this because I'm starting to get hungry and thirsty. Lucerns. Lucerne is Latin for candle, and their logo could be, I imagine, like candle that goes into dagger. And I was like, okay, so Order of Royal Musketeer is lame, but you're gonna name them after candle instead? That's kinda fucking lame. It is. Here's the thing though. I said that Bessonway worships God of Sun. And what I came out with, that used to be, before New Dawn even, back in the old school swords and sorcery era, Bessonway, not only their patron was God of Sun, they had two suns. There was never night in Bessonway. And by the way, I have blinds down all the time. I love rain, I love night, but just it came down to like this. Used to be that when day, it's a day. In a night, you go in the middle of night and you see in distance the spy one country that has straight up sun. Like you would go to border of Bessonway in day. This is border between Bessonway and other country. In day you're like day. In night you would go like day. The fuck, it's night? Stars? What the fuck? Reason for that other sun, again, incredibly, other sun was actually God of Sun's daughter. Incredible lame naming, but I hate making up names. Whenever I see some meaningful name for the character, it's a fucking lame, unless you're making it as a joke. Even then, like, I don't know, I never saw that. I just saw clips from the cartoon Kim Possible, which is supposed to be about a girl who can do anything. Sounds, hey, way before I'm way older than I should be, but I loved fucking Avatar. I'm gonna probably wanna watch Kim Possible too. Sounds fun. Unless you're making it like joke or in joke or cartoon. Meaningful name for character A, it's lame. B, I'm too lazy for that. So I just usually Google some names or surnames and put them together. Main character is a bit meaningful, but that's more of a joke for myself. I get to that when we talk about Cyril. Yeah, I know, Cyril, just manly name. He's supposed to be flamboyant, so he's okay. Where was I? Yeah, God patron of Besonvie is god of sun, named Solis. His daughter was Umbra, which is Latin. Solis is Latin for sun, Umbra is Latin for shadow. Now, in many books, when you have gods I mentioned Kotleta, he wrote really cool books, sadly not in English, where Czech soldiers or former Czech soldiers turned mercenaries are fighting ancient gods. So I mentioned Morena and those ancient Slavic gods. I'm not Czech, I'm from Slovakia, but we have very similar cultures. Like other countries call Czechs and Slovak brother nations or brother sister nations, whatever. Hey, we have hot girls. I'm fine with our sister nation. Our girls are fucking awesome. And there's a point in that book where they have straight up gunfight with Morena, goddess of death, and main character eventually comes to her, takes out his gun, of course, Czezeta, which even they joke about it, when, hey, Americans love American guns, Czech like Czech guns are fucking awesome. I'm not even gun nut, but Czech guns are fucking awesome. So they have Czech brands, coolest rifle ever, and slang, CZ75, like everyone in Czech Republic and especially Slovakia, we just call it Czezeta. He takes out Czezeta, he pulls it to goddess of dead head, blows her away, manages to kill her, and he's like cold breeze, and later like, dude, that crazy bitch you killed, yeah, she was goddess of death. And it's like, oh shit, like they still didn't really believe. In early stages, all they know is they're fighting some guys like, dude, I stabbed him in the neck with knife twice and he still kept going. Like super strong guys, like they were there on steroids, they're super soldiers. Later they told them, no, you guys, you accidentally started war with gods. You're fucked. Really cool book. If you're watching this in English, but you're from Czech Republic or Slovakia, Kotleta, Perunova krev, blood of Perun. Perun was like Slavic version of Thor, god of thunder and war and all that shit. Anyway, that book is really fun, and he is like, well, I killed goddess of winter. Does it mean there's never gonna be winter? And the girl's like, it doesn't really work like that, but they never gone into that. And of course, it starts bugging me, like, not like Nitpick for book, but I was like, how would that work? So I came to that idea. Even in religion, in fantasy, if someone is god of fire, does it mean they invented fire or they control all the fire, or if that god exists, fire doesn't exist anymore? What I think about it is that, say, when God creates something, they have control about it, but if that god goes away, it's still part of the world. Kind of like Walt Disney died, but Disney as company still exists. So if God of Fire dies, fire is still around there. In fact, I had ideas of, wait, what a sense is Shadow, Sun? That I actually started thinking about this. God of Sun is Solis. God of Sun, his daughter is Umbra. And I was like, so he just had daughter and she automatically controls shadows. Umbra is Latin for shadow, I think I said that. And I was like, no. Make it other way around. And it's not like, obviously, I had like, what should be name of goddess of shadow? I don't know, what's shadow in Latin or shade? But in that universe, it was actually other way around. There was girl, her name just happens to be Umbra. And later when she got power over shades and shadows, then they start connecting them. But how that happened? God of Sun Solis, he had his daughter thing that he loved more than anything else in the world. He was good father. His beloved daughter Umbra, who was a very beautiful girl but also very powerful. She would go to war with evil gods. She would protect the humans, everything. And she would be second son. Her daughter would be second son. In fact, I had idea that before Fire, Umbra is Solis' own daughter, but he also has bastard son with goddess of forest, and that bastard son is Fire. Don't have name for him, probably Pyros and some bullshit, but the idea so. Not even part of what I'm gonna talk about, but while I was making up this, I had other idea. So if he has daughter, okay, god of sun fucked goddess of forest, and their son, his bastard son, like, father, will you accept me as your heir? No, you're an asshole. I'm an asshole. Check this shit out, and it creates like fire. How did war exist before that? Idea I had that before fire was invented by gods, even not like caveman era, but like medieval style era. Remember, at this point, gods are still united. They would just when people would need fire, and also I said that the miracles are limited. Justification could be that Primal was still around, so they were way more powerful. There was no need to fight over power and energy when Primal God was still there. So like people would like wish, oh, I need to cook dinner for my children, and like teeny tiny, like this small sun would just appear in the kitchen, and woman or man would like put water over that small sun. It would boil water. Oh, thank you God, and sun would go like, boop. Like it was that convenient back then when Primal was still around. Oh, we get more like technology. Like when Primal left, it was almost like if you played Metal Gear Solid, when after MGS4 Sons of Patriots fell down and technology went like 500 years ahead. So that would happen when Primal left. Magic would come float free, and people had no magical talent would suddenly learn how to use magic. But fuck Primal, we're not talking about him. Just point is, when he left, when this New Dawn happened, there were good things and bad things, just like in real life with Renaissance. Anyway, back to Solis and Umbra. There was war with enemy gods, evil gods from other dimension, and Solis was meant to go to war. But his daughter loved him and was so afraid he would die. She took his armor, she took her sword, and she went to war. She would defeat the bad guys, she would save the universe, but she would die in process. And Solis pretty much went insane, because remember, he loved his daughter, he loved his Umbra. So for a period of couple of months, there would be no fucking sun in Bessonville, like at all, and darkness would start flowing everywhere, because pretty much there's this trope, Achilles in his tent. For lack of better term, God of Sun would pretty much lock himself in a room and start going insane. Because, oh, my daughter, I love her. He would start, like I said, remember, as far as gods are from humans, as far is Primal from gods. So, just like people pray to gods, why don't you listen to me now? One of the gods, Solis, would pray to Primal, why did you let my daughter die? I love her. And I'm imagining he was going crazy, and suddenly he would think he sees images of his daughter, and that would make it even worse. For a while, he was, why Primal? Gods can talk to humans, but Primal cannot really talk to gods because their heads would explode or something. Like, he's that far above everyone else, or at least was while he was still around. So Solis, here's what I'm imagining. Solis would see images of his daughter, he would start going crazy and apeshit, and eventually he would realize that those images of his daughter, everywhere he sees, they don't seem like they're torturing. There's like Jesus, his daughter, his beloved daughter, smiling and waving at him, and like pantomiming, I love you, father, blah blah blah. And then it would hit him that is spirit of his daughter, because other thing that I thought about from other fantasies and mythologies, if gods are like humans, personification, in Slovak we call it personification, like when gods have human, when gods are a human, like, not like Judo-Christian, but like Thor and Hercules and Ares, that type of thing. So I was thinking, if gods are like humans, that means that gods can die, right? But in fantasy setting, at least, if humans can be ghosts, so can gods be ghosts, right? And that's what happened. Not as a torture or punishment, but a reason why Primal wasn't communicating or giving signals or messages to Solis, at least, like subtle symbolism to give him hint. He thought that Primal abandoned him. Instead of Primal was working on bringing Umbra back, at least as a ghost. And that's how shadows first time appear in the universe, because shadows, just like sun is originally, at least, was version of Solis, and fire was Solis's bastard son. Umbra, when she came back as a ghost, she would appear as a shadow, and that would be first shadow, and that's how shadows would came to this world. And that's why sun casts shadow, because wherever Solis looks, Solis sees his daughter. And that wasn't torture as he originally thought. That was actually Primal helping him to see that even if you never be able to talk to your daughter or hold her, you will always see her. Whenever you look, you will always see your beloved daughter. And that was like, even Primal couldn't bring that god back, but this is as close as it could get. Now, Solis, and of course Sun came back, everything was hunky-dory, not as well as before, but better than nothing, right? Solis cannot talk to his daughter ever again, but she can talk to humans. We're getting to the point of special forces and why they call Lutherans. Now remember, Umbra was good daughter, she was a good girl, she loved her father, but she was also badass as fuck female warrior. She was tough as shit, and she was patriot. She wanted to protect her father, and she wanted to protect people of her country, of Besson, her country her father is patron of. She would think of it as maybe not her father, maybe her father would have a little bit of distance, but Umbra was like, no, fuck this is my country too. Like, imagine you have like God of USA has daughter, and God of USA's daughter is like, I might be a goddess, but I'm joining Marines, bitch. I'm gonna fight with my people. Like that. Crazy analogy, but just roll with me. How did I even say it? There's God of America, he has daughter, and daughter's like, I'm joining Marines. I actually like that. That should be my next story. And so she couldn't fight directly, so what she started doing, she would start appearing at night, because when she's goddess and she's warrior, she could sense when there are patriots, when there are young men and women who just thirsty for some action, thirsty for prove themselves. She would start appearing at night from fire or from shadows. She would start be like, come here. Like, she would start, for lack of better than, seducing young men and women to join her service, and to be like, she would pick up the best of the best. And that's what, not anymore, but originally that was what flickering of candle was. There was some young kid who was a war veteran. I was like, I wish I could just do something with my life. I know I can do better. I know I can be a hero or something, but I wish I have signal. And this one kid or man or woman would be drinking in bar, and candlelight would just start flickering. And from that candlelight, shadow would be Umbra, and Umbra would be showing him like, you need to go with me, you need to be fighter, you need to be special forces. So from that would be cult of Umbra, which was originally a religious cult, who was like the best of the best of the best of the most religious warriors. Sorry. And from Umbra after New Dawn, or even before that, cult of Umbra would become part of the military. Later they would be responsible for protecting the king, because way I figured it out is that kings, in real life they would say that kings are avatars of gods. I'm king and I'm ruling because God chose me to. I decided to take it literally, that I thought about, God, human needs gods for miracles, gods need humans for like energy, but there are 2 points. What's it between them? King or queen or whatever, which is problem, which is why, fuck establishing the order. If you kill enemy's king, until they crown someone else, they cannot use any magic, any miracles, anything. Anyway, you could crown prince or princess within a day, but that's 1 day when they're without nothing. So like killing of king or queen is like cutting out the phone cord or destroying your Wi-Fi. You can call God, but he just won't be able to pick up, and he might call you, but you won't be able to hear if king is dead. And there are countries. There is country in this story which I was like equivalent called Rothenburg, which I got inspired by kind of like mix of Amsterdam and Taiwan. Like, want to write story about that country, but it won't be featured here. This, excluding flashbacks, most of these will be taking place in Esperkote. And anyway, so Cult of Umbra took over, and eventually Cult of Umbra would find their own military branch called Lucerns, like candles, and Lucerns would become like Besonvies, SEAL Team 6 or Spetsnaz or SAS, like the best of the best of the best of the trained killers, fiercely loyal to their king. And that's why they have that are gonna be named Lucerns, and that's why their logo I imagine gonna be candle going into dagger. And that's where our main character and our main villain, Cyril and Jim, both serve before events of this story. But gonna have to get to that in the next videos, because I'm recording on 1 hour and 15. I wanted to make this a podcast. There's way more to talk to than I expected. Anyway, hope I entertain you. I wanted to go like commentary through my story. I didn't really get that far. I was just talking about ideas, but this originally was meant to be go page by page of this first 20 pages and just talk about what would I change and what I want to keep. I haven't even made it that far, but I'm gonna do. Before that, I'm gonna finish at least for those full 5 Cyril and Jim and support characters. There will be more of them for second draft, but definitely I gotta talk about Cyril and Jim. And then hopefully I'm gonna be talking about actually what I plan to go scene by scene. But that's for the next time. In the meantime, love you, thank you, stay awesome, bye. Okay, just since I have separate audio, so clenching my fist in 3, 2, 1.